This is a Science 8 2017-2018 recording. Today we are going to be reading an article called The Marianas Trench. You will need two things in front of you. The first thing that you will need to have is this article called The Marianas Trench. If you do not have a printed copy of this article, it is also in your book on page 113. The second thing that you will need to have is this worksheet that's titled Unit Summative Project, Earth's Dynamic Systems. Please put your name at the top of the page along with the hour that you have science now. Directions. The goal of this summative is to show how geological processes have shaped your geologic feature or landform. You will get 2 class periods to complete this summative. So for day 1, you will complete this graphic organizer below with information about your assigned geologic feature. You will do this by researching your geologic feature using reliable and reputable websites. This is due Friday at start of class. So for your graphic organizer, the first blank says to name your landform. So in the blank next to naming your landform, I need you to write Mariana Trench now, please. So as I read, you are going to fill out the rest of this graphic organizer. So the first thing that we need to find in our reading is about the location of the Mariana Trench. Let's begin reading. The first section is called The Deepest Place on Earth. The highest point on Earth is a well-known place. For many people, the very name of Mount Everest conjures up vivid images of a windy, snow-capped peak. You may even picture a group of tired mountaineers making their way towards the summit. However, Earth's lowest point, the Marianas Trench, is much more difficult for most people to imagine. This is likely because the Mariana Trench is so deep and remote that it has been seen by humans only a handful of times. As advances in technology make it easier for us to explore the deep sea, fantastic discoveries are possible in the deepest place on Earth. An oceanic abyss. The Marianas Trench is located in the western Pacific Ocean, east of the Philippines and north of Australia and Indonesia. The trench gets its name from its location close to the Marianas Island chain, which includes the U.S. territory of Guam and the Commonwealth of the Northern Marianas Islands. This location is north of the equator and very far away from any continental landmasses. Here's our first little bit that we need to code. If you could please underline the following. Located in the western Pacific Ocean, east of the Philippines and north of Australia and Indonesia. This is your location. So on your graphic organizer, next to the place that it says location, you need to write in a full sentence in your own words where the Mariana Trench is located. Please do that now. If you need more time, please pause this recording. Please look at this picture. You'll notice that the Mariana Trench is right here. It's in the middle of the ocean. And you have Guam, the island of Guam there, Japan, China, Philippines, Indonesia, New Guinea, and Australia. So you notice that the trench is nowhere near any of the land. So the Mariana Trench is just a big trench in the middle of the ocean. It's like a big hole. As its name suggests, the Marianas Trench is a deep depression in the ocean floor. The trench is extremely large, stretching more than 1,550 miles in length and spanning more than 37 miles in width. It is shaped like a crescent or arc, with its leading edge pointing toward the west coast of North America. The size of the Marianas Trench is impressive, but its depth is truly remarkable. At its deepest point, the bottom of the trench is roughly 6.2 miles beneath the surface of the ocean. To give you an idea of just how enormous that distance is, you could stack 20 copies of New York's Freedom Tower on top of one another, and the antenna of the top tower still would not reach the ocean's surface. Plate tectonics in action. The Marianas Trench is the product of a geological activity known as plate tectonics. The surface of the planet, including the crust and topmost layer of mantle, is made up of many independent sections called tectonic plates. These plates are like a hard, brittle shell made of the lithosphere that cover the more ductile layer of Earth's asthenosphere and carry all of the planet's continents and seafloor. Although it happens so slowly enough that we cannot feel it, tectonic plates are constantly moving. This movement is the reason for the changing positions of the continents throughout Earth's history and the cause of much of the planet's geological activity. Please turn the page. When tectonic plates collide, the results can be dramatic. This activity can create mountain ranges, cause volcanic eruptions, produce earthquakes, and form deep oceanic trenches. The formation of ocean trenches occurs when the edges of the two plates collide at what is known as a convergent plate boundary. Where they meet, one plate begins to slide under the other plate. This process is known as subduction and involves the lower plate moving like a conveyor belt beneath the upper plate. At the point where the lower plate dives downward into Earth's mantle, the seafloor forms a deep valley known as an oceanic trench. The Marianas Trench is an example of an oceanic trench. The Marianas Trench is the result of a convergent plate boundary between the large Pacific Plate and the much smaller Philippine Plate. As the Pacific Plate plunges beneath the Philippine Plate, the resulting subduction zone creates a trench that is deeper than any other point of Earth's surface. So that was a lot of information in the last two paragraphs. Let's see if we can unpack it. So first, we're going to see if we can figure out how the Marianas Trench was formed. What are the steps towards the formation? So the first step is right here, where I'd like you to underline where it says ocean trenches occur when the edges of two plates collide at what is known as a convection plate boundary. That's your first step. So what that is saying is that you have one ocean plate going this way, and then you have another ocean plate that is hitting that ocean plate. And that is called a convergent boundary. So where it says formation 1, right here, you are going to write a sentence or two in your own words about what the first step of how this trench was formed. the fact that the two ocean plates, they hit each other, and that's called a convergent boundary. If you need more time to write that, please pause this recording now. You should also write convergent plate boundary in the part where it says define your three key terms. After you write convergent plate boundary, you need to write in your own words what that means. Please pause this recording to do that now. So the second step in the formation of this trench is the part where I want you to underline where it says, where they meet, one plate begins to slide under the other plate. This process is known as subduction. There's your second vocabulary word. So this is your second step. So the second step means that you have one plate that hits another plate, and one of those plates subducts or goes underneath the other plate. That is called subduction, where the plate hits the other plate and goes underneath it. So on your graphic organizer, where it says formation number 2, right here, you need to write one or two sentences describing what happened. The fact that the two plates met and one subducted or went under the other. Also notice that you have another key term. So in your graphic organizer where it says define your three key terms, you need to write the word subduction, and then you need to write a definition of what that is in your own words. So the third step is right here, where it says, at the point where the lower plate dives downward into Earth's mantle, the seafloor forms a deep valley known as an oceanic trench. So if you look at this picture, you might understand it a little better. So you have two plates that are converging. They're hitting each other. One's going this way, one is going this way. When they hit, one subducts or goes underneath. So then what happens is on this side right here, it forms a trench. This is the deepest part of the ocean. This is your third step. So right here where it says formation number 3, right here, you're going to write a sentence about what it forms. When the two plates collide, or they hit, and one subducts or goes underneath, what does it form? You're going to write that in a complete sentence, that it forms a trench on one side. Please pause this recording if you need more time. So there's one more step, number 4, that doesn't really say in the article. So what happens is you have the oceanic crust that hits and it goes underneath or subducts under the other plate. And when the crust is going down, it melts and becomes magma, and then it comes up and shoots up out of volcanoes. So on the other side of the trench, you form volcanoes that erupt. So right here on number 4, where it's formation right here, you are going to write about how on one side there's trenches that are formed, but on the other side there are volcanoes that are erupting and forming, because as that plate subducts, it melts, becomes magma, and then it shoots up and becomes a volcano. You can also write your third key term, and there's lots to pick from, so you can either pick magma and lava or plate tectonics. You just need to pick either one and then define it in your own words. Please pause this recording if you need more time. So next we need to fill out the statement, which is right here. So first I need you to write the word Marianas Trench right here. And then I need you to write the following. The Marianas Trench was formed as a result of convergent boundaries, meaning that two oceanic plates hit each other. Then one plate subducts, or one of the plates goes under the other. And trenches and volcanoes are made. So you remember, the two ocean plates meet, one subducts and goes under. The side with the plate subducts or goes under, there's a trench. And then on the other side, there's volcanoes that erupt. Please pause this recording if you need more time. So the last thing that you need to do today is you need to have a written description of the appearance. So in the beginning, the trench looked like. What did it look like? Please write out a sentence. Then it changed and looked like, and you're going to write a sentence about how it changed and looks like. Today, the trench looks like, and you're going to write what it looks like. And then finally, you're going to do, in the future, it will look like. If you need help with the written description, please ask a teacher. This is the end of the recording.